YouTube, you really need to fix your shit, you know. This preview window for the live stream, I have to go live in order to actually see it in the proper resolution. We're live now, which is fucking retarded. I should be able to preview it. God damn it. Why is this happening? Why did this happen to me? I made my mistakes. Okay. Work, motherfucker. Okay. Does this actually look okay now? It looks a bit better. I'd say it evokes better the imagery that I want it to evoke, but it's just not as good. I wish I could show you what I see. It's so much more beautiful than this. It's not this blurry, disgusting mess. Whatever. No one cares, right? No one gives a shit. You're not supposed to watch this. This is not supposed to be watched. This is just supposed to be some weird vaporwave nonsense imagery that is on the screen for no reason, and you're supposed to just listen to it while you're playing something, doing something else. Oh, God. Nothing matters. Why do I keep saying that? It's obvious. Everyone knows that. Digibros, motherfucking neurotyping thing. This has been like most of my time has been spent the past couple days thinking about this, because when I heard him first mention, I was like, yeah, this makes sense. Why has no one really picked up on like this kind of this duality in thinking? And then I was like, just not too long ago, I like it finally clicked. It finally clicked. Like, no wonder it seems so like when you hear it, it's like, yeah, that kind of feels like the texture of that idea is a texture that I'm familiar with, but it's interesting. Okay. So the dichotomy here is this there's two spectrums, but the one that seems to be more of a problem to understand is this oh, God damn it. Which words did he use? Impressionistic versus lexical thinking. Impressionistic versus lexical thinking. The thing is, most people are probably more familiar with talking about these ideas with the left brain, right brain dichotomy. It's the same dichotomy, but what's interesting here is the frame of reference is shifted. When you talk about right brain, left brain, the types of things you use to describe this are like mathematical thinking versus creative thinking or artistic thinking, and like rule-based thinking versus like free-form-based thinking. And by shifting this to impressionistic and lexical thinking, what you're doing is you are going from mathematical thinking being the dominant thinking to the impressionist thinking being the dominant thinking, and viewing lexical thinking in a more creative light, which is interesting. Mathematics, when people think about mathematics, they think about numbers, they think about like formulas, and they like that's not how I think. But they might think lexically still. They might think in these discrete parts that fit together in a discrete way, and you can take this part and move it from one place to the next. And so what you really have is your descriptive and your creative, I guess, parts of your brain. Like, one part has an idea and the other part like tries to understand that idea in terms of like more describable things. So on the one hand, you have like psychic brain blasts, like an image, and on the other hand, you have what parts make up this image. Why is this image evoking these things? And the whole argument here is that a character falls in a spot on this grid. If we're only talking about one axis here, the lexical, the lexical versus impressionist axis, that implies you fall in a area on this thread, which is odd to think about and odd to say, because all of us experience psychic brain blasts from time to time. We have thoughts and ideas that we can't really put words to, and for some people that's more frustrating, and for some people that's less frustrating. Some people appreciate the looseness of the ideas, and some people really want to understand this, and if they can't fit it into this paradigm, they have issues with it. But we all are on this spectrum, and we shift around, and in fact I believe that we have like discrete units that are at different places, and we go like dominant this one, or maybe a spectrum of many things, so, I don't know, like it doesn't make sense to like think about this thing in terms of like one place where you are. Maybe you have a place where you like to be, or a place you like to go, but I feel like there's a disconnect here between people being like, well, of course, like I am this thing because I have these thoughts, and these are like when he's saying like, oh, the descriptive thinker is like, we'll talk around a thing. Well, it's like, clearly I do that. Like, I have thoughts that I can't put to words. And I like scatterbrain, and or all the way on the other side. I am so fucking autistic. So we have that duality, but I think we you know what I'm saying. If you understand what I'm saying, I don't need to say what I'm saying, right? And if you don't understand what I'm saying, it's not like I'm helping, other than the first initial thought that what you're really talking about is right brain versus left brain thinking, and what's interesting to me is because this is a meta thought. It makes you think about how you are thinking about your own thoughts, and how the thoughts you're having come into your brain, and how you experience them, and how you process them. And this is the result of that for me, right? This video is me attempting to take this thought that I received, and then I took it apart, and I looked at all the different discrete things, and had the impressions I had based on the texture and the feel and the thought form like bubble. Where was it hard and where was it soft, and why did it make me feel the way I did when I heard it? And because it's related to this other thing. And the other aspect of this is this parallel kind of thinking that he talks about. I don't know why we're shoehorning this in. So this is like a little sketch I drew. Let's see. Right. I don't know if it makes it different. I don't know. Maybe this makes sense. Makes more sense. To people who are more visually minded than not. But this is how my brain like tried to explain it to me. Okay, it made me draw this, slowly like building up the parts. First these two pieces, and this one being gritty, and this one being all loosey goosey, and what I feel is this spectrum exists here, but there's this part in between, the hippocampus perhaps, or it's just the connection between this left and right modality, I guess, and this mathematical, more rigid, analytical side, and the creative, impressionistic side of your brains, and the constant battle basically between the two. And by shifting this from mathematical to lexical, you no longer are talking about just straight numbers. You're talking about something that is higher level of abstraction. You're talking about like scenes, or you're talking about like color choices, along with like clothing choices, hair choices. You're talking about like what elements evoke which things, and why do you combine the things that you're combining to accurately explain things. You're talking about slam poetry. You're talking about you're not getting stuck on the small details, but you're filling out like a more abstract idea by talking about it lexically. Instead of mathematically, you raise that abstraction level of what we're talking about. We're not talking about like numbers anymore. We're talking about bigger things. And on the other side of things, you have the creative, impressionist, left brain, right, I don't know which one, side. By like removing the art aspect of it, we're not talking about like the things you like to do. We're not talking about like, do you like doing math? So you're more on that side. You like to draw, that you're more on. It's the mode of thinking that you prefer to be at, I guess. Is that fair? Or the mode of thinking that like most resonates true with you in your brain and how things work, I guess. Like, but by talking about more abstractly, what you're really talking about isn't you're not thinking about things in terms of color and whatever. You're seeing an entire like scene of feeling, like an entire sensory experience, like flashing at you, like a psychic blast type thing, versus like very discrete, like rigid. It's loose and like it's these feelings you can feel, and then you're like two parts apprehension. Like I don't know how to describe this feeling I got. But like I said, we all are on this spectrum, and we move from place to place constantly. And the amount we're able to like experience and feel is that linear versus non-linear. What? Linear is good. I like linear. Parallel, I guess, was it? The thing is, I don't know if it's fair to say like you have a spot that you are linear thinking. Maybe you prefer more linear thinking because it's not like as confusing. Maybe you're wired that way, I guess. I don't know. Like that doesn't really make sense to me, because for me it feels like there's blasts and moments where, you know, I have lots of connections going back between the sides. Like, oh, we're driving, we're running on all cylinders here, and thousands of different like parts of analysis. Fuck, this thing is a problem. They all like synchronize to like lock and create like very complex thoughts, and other times it's like I need to like step through this, like this thing connects to this thing, connect. How do they connect if I like rearrange that? Like, okay, how does that connect to this other thing? And very linearly like work through these thoughts. But it's like maybe you have a minimum and maybe you have a maximum, but like how would you even know what that was? And like maybe you have like one where you operate typically, or you like the thing is, it's just so what is the word, like dismissive of like simplistic. There's the word. And I mean simplistic, not simple. God damn it. See, like this is the very lexical part of me. This tiny little lexical thing who's standing on this pedestal being like, God damn it, simplistic means a thing, even though all the words I've said prior are like, these words exist like vaguely and ambiguously, and I'm trying to like paint a picture of ideas with words that don't really work cohesively, and I'm bad at talking. I used to be so much better. But simplistic it's important because it's overly reductive of what's going on. It's reductive to the point of distraction. By creating this grid, okay, this grid of two disparate axes of thought, of ways of describing the kinds of things you think about, you pigeonhole people into thinking they fit in a place. And it's like a thought virus in a way. It like traps you into thinking about yourself in a way, or thinking about the way you think in a way that doesn't cause you to like analyze it further. I guess is the problem. Because if you go like, oh yeah, like that kind of makes sense to me. I'm probably about 30% this and 20% that. That means I fall into like this category, and yeah, that kind of feels about right. I'm done thinking about this thing now. I no longer have to analyze how I think about how I think. And that's what I feel like is problematic about this, and it is two separate axes of things that they have nothing to do with each other. You have the left brain right brain dichotomy, which has been around forever. Everyone knows this left brain right brain dichotomy. It doesn't do anything new to really do that. It just raises the abstraction level of left brain right brain. It's like, if you are at the level of thinking about things in terms of paint and numbers, well, you're probably a retard. That's how I feel like about what digibro is doing. And he also has a very clear creative bias. He shifted the discussion about the ways of thinking, I guess, over and up one. Over being towards creative, and up one being more abstract. And that is the way I think about it. Like, you have left, right, and you have abstract and concrete thinking. And the harmony between these descriptive and sensory, like it's not abstract. It's creative or visual or whatever. Thinking patterns, like, it's kind of it's not really flat. It's not really a flat space, and they kind of like push and pull in different places, and it's weird. It's weird trying to like create a grid that simplifies the entire thought pattern space into this 4x4 grid that clearly it needs to be more vague, more ambiguous and fluffy than he, like, the way he's describing it, it's clearly ambiguous and fluffy, but the way he is presenting it is this like very rigid and strict thing. It's so weird. It's so weird. Fucking digibro, what the fuck? Like, I really don't know how to communicate better, and I'm sorry for that. Like, this is also another problem I had. I wanted to complain about digibro, was his autism chart. The problem with with any kind of chart really, is if you're like, it goes from 1 to 9. The thought is like, well, what happens? What would a level 10 autist be then? We have a level 9. Like, I can kind of conceive of what a level 9 is. So I'm gonna imagine what a level 10. They're just a vegetable at that point. They're you know what a level 10 autist is? It's Paul Atreides in Dune 7 Book 2, after he takes the super spice, the Gola of Paul Atreides that was raised by the Gola of Vladimir Harkonnen. That guy, he becomes an autist level 10, failed mentats. The mentats who look into the void and just get sucked right out the space window into planes of thought that don't correlate to reality at all. And by propositioning this, like you go from 1 to 9, the fact that there's a barrier makes people want to imagine what is past that barrier. So by putting up a fence at this autism level 9, you've pushed people past into autism level 10, where we dare not go, where words have no meaning anymore and thought is just squid bubbles in the ocean, and every instance of reality is multiplexed across space-time, and in this weird, don't go there. God damn it. So yeah, that's what I've been thinking about. We got no one in here, probably because I called the video "Digibro is a dumb cunt and doesn't know a goddamn thing," which is true. But it's also true of me. I don't want anyone thinking that this is derogatory. I like watching Digibro, but sometimes he doesn't really. I feel like he's so pigeonholed in his own sphere of existence, where I know he probably realizes there's way more like patterns and ways of thinking, but he doesn't like go looking for it, I guess. I don't know, or maybe he's just not interested in those older ideas and correlating to them. Whenever I have like an idea like this, I like look into things, and then I'm like, oh, this thing that like uses completely different language and talks about it in a completely different way, but like is exactly the same thing that I was thinking of. I don't think he does that kind of thing. It's like the Briggs Myers is the only personality profile. What is even like 8 the 8 aspects? What even is right brain left brain thinking? I never heard of it. Right brain, left brain, what is that? No, it's called impressionistic versus lexical. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it just frustrated me because, like, I felt tricked. I felt tricked by it. It's like, it does make sense. The more parallel you think about things, the more you're able to connect things together, and and you have the more creative versus the more like strict and rigid. Yeah, that dichotomy kind of makes sense, but it's like, why do you have to give it a new name? Why do you have to like correlate these two not related aspects and then try to pigeonhole a whole way of thinking based on a sense of general kind of like, he says he's good at pattern matching. That is the human machine. We all are pattern matching machines. It's just the kinds of patterns we feed ourselves affects the direction we go with that. Like we go either this way or this way, and like it's fucking brain blast, man. This organ is shit at communicating. I fucking hate it. I fucking can't stand words. I'm so impressionist, lol. I can't stand words. The thing is, I can process what I'm thinking about in words, just in lots of words that like stars in the sky, right? If each word in the sky if each star in the sky was a word, then I could be like this star, this star, this star, and get the yes, communicating via Stargate language. It's beautiful. It's 10 out of 10. It's fucking hate this shit. If anyone is actually watching this, I'm sorry. I don't know what you're getting out of this. I don't know what you are experiencing, because I can only experience things from my own perspective because I'm an autistic piece of shit. And I'm doing this for me and just to get this out of my brain so I don't have to continuously think about this. In fact, we're burning this paper right now, this one that I showed before, because these thoughts are no longer meaningful to me. They just have no absolute meaning anymore. It's just weird ways of thinking about things. It's just right brain, left brain. That's all it was. That's all it ever was. And it's not like anyone is really right or left brain. We have two halves of our brain, at least if you're human. Oh God, this fire is getting out of control. Ow. Is it snow or is it ash? It's ash. At least in this world. Oh God, it's everywhere. Anyway, it's out of my head. It's gone. It's poof. It doesn't exist anymore. If anyone wants to talk about this thing anymore, this neurotyping nonsense, you're an idiot. You're just dumb. Didn't you see the paper burn up? The thoughts are gone and they no longer exist. I mean, why are you here? I know why I made this video. Because I fucking can't stand digibro pontificating about shit that's obvious. It's just right brain, left brain, impressionist, lexical. It is interesting. It is interesting that it changes the frame of discussion from being so concrete for the mathematics side, but then it's definitely got the impressionist bias. He does say that in the comments that he is biased towards that, but I don't know. It's weird. I don't know what the real utility is in talking about this. But I whatever. Nothing has utility, so who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? Anyway, I'm dead now. Bye. Thank God.